Have you ever experienced teachers and faculty asking you the same question over and over? And have you ever had the situation where there was misinformation just going on throughout the school and you couldn't figure out where that information came from or where that information was coming from? I'm here to tell you that that has happened to me. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is communication. We're going to talk about things that happened to me in a situation where I sent out an email. And the email that I sent out was a misleading email. And I had faculty and staff so confused. I was clear about what I was saying, but they didn't understand me. But the problem was not them. The problem was me. So what we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about ways that we can help ourselves as principals to learn how to communicate and how to communicate in a way that we're not frustrated, how we can communicate in a way that, we're rarely taught how to communicate. So we're going to tell you that your faculty, sometimes they're not always the ones that has the misinformation. You're the one. We're the ones. So, my job is to come on every week and to talk to you about ways that you can improve yourself and your school so that you can get your school to the level that you know that it can be and that you want it to be. My name is Barbara Polk, and I'm known as a turnaround principal. And my story is that I was assigned to one of the lowest performing campuses in my district and one of the lowest performing campuses in the state. But we were able to get that school turned around. But we weren't able to get that school turned around without having some difficulties with communication. And the school turnaround by itself was a job. But also the communication that it took to get the school turned around was another difficult thing. Yes, it was difficult. So I had to learn how to communicate with my staff. So what we're going to be talking about are 3 strategies that you can use, that are 3 steps you can use to help with your communication. And the first thing is that you're going to have to learn how to communicate with a different learning style. Just like we have different learning styles in the classrooms, we teach to the auditory learner, we teach to the kinesthetic learner, we teach to the visual learner. Where you as the principal, you're going to have to learn there are different communication styles. So when you are meeting with your teachers, you are meeting with your faculty, you're even meeting with your parents, you have to understand that there are different communication styles. The second thing is that you have to be a good listener. And I know that's easier said than done, but you're going to have to be a good listener. And the third thing that's going to help you become a good communicator is to learn how to use those tools. You learn how to use those technology tools that are right at our fingertips, but it's just so much stuff coming at us. We think we know how to use them, but we really, really don't know how to use a lot of those. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to let us know where you are. Let us know where you're coming from, what kind of position you have as far as the school district is concerned. If you are a parent or if you are part of the community and you just want to know more about what's going on in the schools, then say that as well. So I also want you to hit that share button and hit that subscribe button if you are on YouTube or if you are on any of the other platforms. So let's get into our first lesson, our first tip. And that first tip is communication styles. Now, we're going to talk about 4 communication styles. And the first communication style is called a personal communication style. That communication style is the person or the people you are talking to in that group that are emotional. Now, that style may not fit you, but you're going to have people who are on your faculty, who are on your staff, who are in your community, who react by emotion, compassion, That's how they operate. And as the principal, you are going to have to learn to communicate with those people on that style. Sometimes you get frustrated because their style is not like ours. But that is one of the greatest jobs that we have to overcome as principals, and learn that that communication style is called a personal communication style. And the second style that we're looking at is called functional. Now, functional people, they are receiving information from you and they want it step by step. Step one, step two, step three. They think in process. That's how they think. How do I, what do I do first? What do I do second? And when you are conducting a meeting, whether you are conducting your meetings face to face or whether you're conducting your meetings remotely, whether you're doing Zooms, you are going to have these kind of people. And remember, lots of times when these people are in that environment with other faculty members, sometimes you will deliver information and they won't ask any questions. It's up to you as a communicator to understand that there is another style and you need to be ready to address that kind of style. The third kind of style is called intuitive. And these are people, these are your bright people. These are your people who just get it first time and they're ready to roll with it. Those people, they think quickly. They think to the point. They are big picture people. They think outside the box. You just love these kind of people on your faculty because all you do is just say what needs to be done and they say, bam, I got it. So we just love those kind of folks, but we don't have all those kind. Everybody's not like that. And then we have those people who are analytical. All right, these analytical people, sometimes they seem cold. Sometimes they want things done in a logical way. Sometimes they're unemotional, but that is their communication style. So what I learned with those 4 types of communication styles is that I don't have all 4 types. I have one type that I like, and that's the type that's like me. But I will know as the communicator that I have to address all of these learning and communication styles in order for me to be an effective communicator. And that is, with everything that we have to do, we have so much information that we need to impart to our faculty and our staff. And lots of time, there's lots of misinformation that's going around. And the misinformation that's going around, sometimes it's our fault. We don't see it, but it's our fault simply because we have not communicated properly. The second thing that's going to help you communicate in your building is something that's called active listening. Now, active listening is not sitting there listening to a complaint from a staff member or from a community member and they're talking and you're trying to come up with the answer to squash whatever they're saying. That's not an active listener. That's being a prepared listener to come back at you with whatever you have. Well, yeah, you say that, we don't have enough security in the building, but I say that based upon the data that we have and the research that we have, we do have sufficient security at this building. The situation that happened with your child or your situation was one that, was an outlier and it shouldn't have happened. That's not an active communicator. The active communicator is one that pays attention. The active communicator doesn't judge. That was difficult for me as well. And what I would do, especially if I had a situation with a teacher that was very difficult, or if I had a situation with a parent, the easiest way for me to keep my big mouth shut was to take out a pad and a pen. Don't do eye contact with them. Write down what they're saying. And I'm not talking about every word they're saying. I say write down those things that you want to remember. Just take notes. Take organized notes. What will that do? That will help you to listen, to pay attention, to not judge. You are taking notes. And then tell them when you are in that type of communication, I'm not going to be responding to you. I'm going to be listening to you, and I'm going to be taking notes so that I can get every bit of information that you have to share with me. And then after you've given me this information, then I can get back with you on what my decision is about whatever that particular situation is. That's easy. Pay attention and don't judge. Picture what they're saying. Even if you're writing, try to picture what your teacher is saying, or what your assistant principal or your instructional coach. Because this job is tough, y'all. This is one of the most difficult jobs ever. And in order for you to be the kind of school administrator, listening and communicating is one of the largest things. Picture what they're saying because you're paying attention to them. And ask questions. Ask questions. Now, I know I said if you're taking notes, you're not going to be asking questions, but there may become a time when you're taking notes and they're doing all the talking that you may say, excuse me, do I have this correct? So you're saying this and you're saying that. Is that correct? That way, in my notes, I won't mess up on my notes. That's just a way to get it done. So we're talking about communication styles, and we're talking about just being a good listener. And the third thing is to use tools. Now, last week we talked about one of the tools that is very effective, and that is our school website. Now, when you're communicating on that school website, I mean, all kinds of things can go wrong. So use that tool, but use that tool as you plan that tool. If you are sharing information on that school website, please have someone else to look at the information that you're sharing with parents. Please make sure that you are reading any comments that parents may have of the information that you are giving on that website. That's your tool. That's a communication tool. The other thing, and this is the one that gets us every time, and that is our emails. Make your emails to the point. And if your teachers have questions, then they can contact you about questions that they may not understand. The other thing too, principals, is that you do too much talking on those emails, and that can get you into a lot of trouble. Sometimes all of the information you're sharing on the emails can land you in court because you're just talking too much. You are accustomed to writing your essays. You were a great writer when you were in school as a student. When you were in grad school, you knew how to elaborate, and you want to do the same thing on your emails. Well, the email is not the place to do all of that. People don't want to read all of that. People want you to get to the point, make it clear, step 1, step 2, step 3, and then step out of there with your email. Another thing about your emails is have some white space in between. You know, how do you feel when you get an email from someone and it's all of these lines, you have to hit the button to go down and down. You don't want to read all of that. You want to get the information, look at the subject line, get the information, 1, 2, 3. If there's some space in between, then it's like catching some air in between. That's your communication tool. And the last, you can also do video emails. I didn't think about that. You can also do video emails, but you're going to follow the same premise. You're not going to go on and on and on. You have 3 points that you want to cover those 3 points, and then shut it up. It's over. It's over. It's not about you. It's about the information. And the last thing that's under your tools are your organizational tools. Now, you have all of your Google, you have your Google Sheets, you have all of those things that you can use to communicate. But when it comes to organizing, use something like Slack or like Trello board to keep you organized. That's a part of communication. You know that in March, you on your Trello board, you have exactly what you plan to do and how you plan to do it. Use that, and that helps with your communication. Now, is all of this an easy thing to do? Absolutely not. It is something that is very, very difficult. But oh my goodness, when you learn this, and when you learn people, and when you learn to pay attention to people, people pay attention to you. They understand that when we meet with her, she is listening. When we meet with her, she's reading your body language. She can tell whether you actually understand. She understands that I think a certain way, you know, I'm part of that leadership team. She doesn't need to go into details with me. The other person knows that I am an analytical person. I need to know step by step by step. And oh my goodness, those people who are just so excitable. You just love them, but you have to handle them gently. They're the ones, you know, who may not ask questions. They just may assume and go on about their business and spread that miscommunication. But you as the principal, you have to understand about the communication styles, because that's going to empower your faculty, that's going to empower your staff, that's going to empower your community. So if you're not a member of Principals on the Come Up, what are you waiting for? Hit that link to join Principals on the Come Up, and I'll just let you in. And if you have any friends or any other principals who need to learn more information, get them to join our collaboration, where every week we come on and we talk about things that's going to improve your school so that your school will become a hallelujah success story, where people will always want to come to your school, where students love to come to your school, parents just love the school, and your superintendent is very happy because you have pulled your school out of low performing. So that's our episode for today, and we'll see you next week on Principals on the Come Up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories.